gong several times, a signal it was time to remove our robes and move to center ring, where the referee, Arthur McCanty, stood, waiting to give us final instructions. Whatever McCanty said, I never heard. That was because Clay was jabbing away at me with that bug-eyed nutball look of his. I didn't hear any of what Clay said either. I was just staring at him, letting the anger inside of me fester. Where most fights were strictly business, Clay was another story. With that trash mouth of his, the scambooker had made this personal. As he babbled on, I looked at him and told him, "I'm gonna kill you." Back in the corner, Yak said, "Get on his ass. Work him till you don't want no more." The crowd was on his feet. Ringside was full of celebrity faces. Senator Herbert Humphrey, Ed Sullivan, Diane Carroll, and David Frost, Alan Keene, Joe Namath, Diamond Ross, Aretha Franklin, George Raft, Bing Crosby, Ted Kennedy, Pat O'Brien, New York City Mayor John Lindsay, Count Basie, George Plimpton, and Burt Lancaster. I didn't see any of them or think of any of the 300 million fans who were watching on satellite TV in closed circuit. My focus was on the jive-ass sucker in the red velvet trunks. The bell rang, and I moved toward him. I landed the first punch. My strategy was to stay in close, taking his head apart with hooks and straight right hands. With me at 5'11" and Clay at 6'3", my plan was to whack at his body to make him come down to my height when he covered up. For most of the first 2 rounds, I was an elusive target, slipping and sliding in and out. This early, he figured to look good, and I was putting the pressure on him. But I knew what I knew, that if I stayed after him, he would slow down. As Yank always said, kill the body and the head will die. Once I started banging left hooks off his body and head, and anywhere else I could, ribs, biceps, shoulders, well, then he would be forced to fight my fight. And that smug expression of his would fade like grease before a spot remover. Yeah, I wasn't worried that he was hitting me with the jab because I was forcing him to jab so that he would be vulnerable to my left hook. Toward the end of the second round, I gave all those Clay fans a sneak preview of what was to come when I slammed the left hook against the side of his face. A good shot, and it hurt Clay, who threw his arms around me as if I was a treasured possession. It stopped me from punching, but it gave him the opportunity to mug for the crowd that no, the punch didn't hurt. At the bell ending the round, he waved his glove at me to make up the point again. Then between rounds, he refused to sit on his stool, standing nonchalantly in his corner as his handlers attended to him. Go ahead. Let him dance and prance and posture. The sucker was whistling in the dark. I hadn't yet begun. In the third round, I blocked Clay's uppercuts and continued digging into his body. Clay landed some good shots, but they weren't as strong as the announcers made them seem. To listen to them, I wasn't even in the ring. Clay's shots got called, but when I landed one on him, all the guy would say was, "Oh, Ali took that really well." I said the powerful message in the fourth round when I nailed him on the jaw with the left, and saw by the look on his face that it shook him. This time when he tried to tie me up, I pushed free and pounded away at his ribs. Pretty soon, he was no afraid to stare. The dancing stopped, but Smokin Joe did it. I kept after him, but even as I pounded him, he was acting like he was still in command, taunting his stuff while blood trickled from his nose. "Don't you know I'm God?" Clay yelled out after I landed a few death shots on him, pinning him against the ropes. "God, you're in the wrong place tonight. I'm kicking ass and taking names." McKinney tried to hush us up, but this Clay was a talking machine. No way would this fight be waged in silence. But for all his talk, and for all the play acting he did for the crowd, he was no longer the fighter that razzle-dazzled folks in those first couple of rounds. Now he was down off his toes, and he had taken to leaning up against the ropes and jiving. Sometimes he shook his head to the crowd to discount the damage of my punches. Sometimes he looked toward the ringside press and told them, "No contest." Sometimes he threw these pity-pat punches against my gloves or against my forehead as a tester for termites, joke punches, as if he was goofing on me. But the joke was on him. I was fighting in earnest, and he was just trying to disguise the fact that he was stalling, that he couldn't do what he used to and dance for 15 rounds. Not that he couldn't, I wouldn't let him. I was pounding the body in the head and making those nimble legs of his say, "Whoa, what's happening here?" All the while, he kept jabbering away, ignoring McCanty's warnings to keep his button. "I'm gonna kill you, nigga," he said. "Yeah, that's what you got to do," I told him, "cause I ain't going nowhere." And I didn't. I worked his body, beating it like a tom-tom. And to rub it in, I lowered my hands and slipped his punches, laughing in his face when I did. When the bell ended the 5th round, I cuffed him across the top of his head. As he usually did, Clay had predicted the outcome of the bout in advance. In fact, he had wanted to read the prediction in the ring just before the match started, but the commission refused to permit that. So he'd written his prediction in his chicken scrawl on a piece of paper, read it in his dressing room while closed-circuit cameras recording it, and then showed it minutes before the bout started. That closed-circuit audience, which included my mother watching in Charleston, South Carolina, heard him say, "Flash, I predict first of all that the Frazier fans and boxing experts will be shocked at how easy I will beat Joe Frazier, who will look like an amateur compared to Muhammad Ali, and they will admit that I was the real champion all the time. Frazier falls in 6. Well, by round 6, Clay was no longer standing in his corner between rounds. He was back on his trusty stool, getting the minute's rest he needed. Me? I was looking across the ring at him, knowing this was the round he called and eager to make a liar of him. When the bell rang, I sprang off my stool like a sprinter to meet him in the center ring. "Come on, sucker," I shouted. "This is the round. Let's go." Bobbing and weaving under the right-hand leads Clay fired at me, I maneuvered him to the center of the ring and began whacking the left off his ribs before taking it upstairs. Bingo! I hurt him with a left hook to the jaw. He sagged to the ropes like a wilted flower, while the crowd, sensing he was in big trouble, roared. People still on their feet, throwing punches right along with me. I fired away, scoring repeatedly with big thudding punches, trying to finish the sucker. But he took what I dished out and somehow managed to survive the round. Back in my corner, I asked Yank, "What's holding him up?" "Don't worry," he said. "Keep beating on his ass, and he'll fall." But Clay showed hard and fought back. I was relentless in round 7, slipping and sliding, making Clay miss his shots. I kept at him in the 8th, taking away his timing and catching him before he could hold me. In the 9th, he suddenly mustered an attack that revived his supporters and had me looking all of a sudden like a tire fighter. With right hands, he nailed me repeatedly. I was bleeding now from the mouth, and my face had begun to lump up. Clay hit me with a series of rights to the head, but I refused to acknowledge their effect and just kept whacking at him, as if he hadn't shown me shit. Toward the end of the round, Clay landed a combination that made me redirect my steps. The crowd, which booed him earlier for laying on the ropes, now came alive, as if another Clay miracle was about to occur. I stunned him twice. He fired back and missed. I was hitting him 3 punches to 1 and was scoring heavily. I nailed him with a hard right hand. He missed 4 punches. Then I landed 8 unanswered punches. For a guy that boxing experts said had no right hand, Clay knew otherwise. I trapped Clay in the corner for almost the entire round. When he tried to come out, I put him back in there with devastating hooks that threw him off balance. At the end of the round, I flagged him and he flagged me. Back and forth we went. In the 10th, he opened his big mouth to shout down to the ringside press, "He's out!" But the real story was that Clay was so tired that all he could do was just stand there, taking my punches. A round later, Clay looked as if he could use an oxygen mask, so I began to use his head for batting practice. Left hook, left hook, left hook. Clay backed to the ropes and waited for me to follow him. "Okay, butterfly, you asked for it." I nailed him with another left hook that sent him reeling into the ropes. His face got exaggeratedly bug-eyed. He was really hurt and tried to find the ropes to get his balance. I staggered him again with the left hook and caught him with some right uppercuts. At the end of the round, he walked rubber-legged to his corner, bringing Dundee and another handler, Chicky from Ferrara, rushing through the ropes like firemen responding to a 4-alarm blaze. Back in the corner, Dundee slapped Clay's legs and shouted at him, trying to revive him. As the ring physician, Dr. A. Harry Klayman, looked into Clay's eyes to make sure he was conscious enough to continue. Apparently he was, because when the bell rang for round 12, he rose up off that stool and walked toward me, throwing punches. Some of them hit me. I didn't care. I was crazy to get to him, knowing he was running on empty, knowing the hurt I put on him. The shots Clay got hit with were like wrecking balls that would take down a cement building. I was enjoying getting hell of a ball getting the job done. But the guy surprised me. He stood and traded with me. And what he was throwing wasn't pity pat. But my adrenaline made me feel no pain. I didn't want to beat this guy. I wanted to knock him out. I kept moving forward, letting the punches fly. Hit me, I hit you. I don't give a damn. I come to destroy you, Clay. But wouldn't you know it, in the 13th round, the butterfly got wings again. Don't ask me how. As much as I wanted to leave him a battered heap on the canvas, he found it in him to get up on his toes and move about the ring, dancing and shooting and jabbed at him. Then when those dancing legs got tired, he just lay on me like a sack of mush, waiting for McKenzie to break us up. The 14th round, as 2 tired men, we fought. Clay trying to keep me at bay with that jab of his, while I kept stepping in on him, landing punches, trying to get one more industrial strength hook on the target. The times I got within range, Clay would try to lay on me and bury me in a clinch. I kept pushing him off, looking for a chance to land a big one. That chance came in the 15th and final round. By now that there were more folks chanting, "Joe, Joe, Joe." Then they were singing out Clay's Muslim name. Yeah, maybe I walked into the arena supporting player, but over 14 rounds I proved I wasn't father for no Cassius Clay fairy tale. And that point was about to be made as forcefully as an tired old country boy could. Clay came out aggressively for that final round as if he knew he needed a knockout to win. He opened up with the left and the right, and threw the same combination a second time. Then as he maneuvered to find an opening, I threw a left hook that caught him on his right forearm. It was a punch meant to locate, as in to get a bead on him for the next punch. As he stepped toward me, I dipped down and let fly another left, leaving my feet to throw a looping shot that landed against the right side of his face and sent Clay round to the seat of his trunks. Boom! And there it was, Mr. Him on his butt, his legs kicking up in the air, the day picture of a beaten man. To tell you the truth though, it was not a killer shot, but it landed round the button on a very worn out man, and the roar it set off was like the belly of the beast. Were they about to see the unthinkable? Clay knocked out? The way he went down, I thought so, but Clay showed big heart as he climbed up off the canvas by the count of 4 and took the mandatory 8 from Mercanti. By now the right side of his face was swollen and he looked unsteady on his feet. I pursued him, but there wasn't much left of my tank either. Hard as I tried, I couldn't get across the finisher. I cracked 2 lefts off his jaw, then a right to his chin and a left to the body. Clay folded his arms around me, but I pushed him away and fired 2 more lefts that drove me to the ropes. When the final bell sounded, the crowd was so deafening neither of us heard the clang, clang, clang. Mercanti had to throw himself between us to get the message across that our evening's work was done. The unanimous decision left me winner and still champion and Clay beaten for the first time in his career. But this time I was champion without reservations or qualifications. Undisputed heavyweight champion. Hear that? Undisputed. I was 27 years old and there would never be another night like it in my life.